and welcome back to another Napoleon Total War battle. So today we are on Waterloo, but before we get into the army comps and all that, I just want to show you guys this map. We have a graveyard over here, so CA did a wonderful job on this map. Just the attention to detail is just incredible. We even have a fruit stand over here selling fruits and vegetables, so very nice job by CA. But anyways, a little off topic, let's get into the battle. So this replay was sent in to me by Morton. He's going to be in command of the French, the center force, and his allies are going to be the Russians and the Ottomans. So going over his army comp really quickly, he has 6 Fusiliers of the line, and then looks like 4 Voltigeurs. Rules for this battle were no artillery, max 5 lights. As for his elites, he's brought some young guard and some guard seamen. He's got a general staff, and then he has some cuirassiers. So very elite units. You can see he's brought a pretty sizable cav force. These guys definitely did cost a lot, so he wants to make the most of them. As for his ally, he did the similar thing, bringing a lot of elite cavalry. So these guys did not cheap out on cav. And then as for the Russians, they brought also some decent cav units, Uhlans, so they're good against cavalry as well. So one interesting thing about this battle is there really is no defenders. You can see these guys are actually going to be giving up this hill here. They're actually going to be marching down to the enemy, so not too sure why they did this. I don't know if they wanted to surprise the enemy. I don't know if they wanted to make it a more of an even battle. Maybe they came to an agreement to where they would fight on even ground. I have no clue, but for some reason they're giving up this high ground, which is a shame. I mean, tactically it is not beneficial. Not only that, but they're actually going to be fighting somewhat of an uphill battle here. You can see there's a slight ridge, and it's actually going to allow the Russians to get a nice overview of the battle. So one thing Austria did not bring, at least for this one faction, was light infantry. You can see he went very heavy in terms of line infantry, bringing a lot of German Fusiliers as well as Hungarian Fusiliers. We got the Russians over here. Looks like they pushed up a little too close. Maybe, yes, they will get a volley off. So bringing these guys down to 105 men, that is not good at all. And you can see these guys are on ultra settings, so you're going to see the maximum amount of units on a battlefield or men. Looks like the Wimpish Jaegers also got a volley off, getting some early action as well, reloading, but they got these guys down by 13 men, so good job there. So they're going to be reforming and getting ready for this Russian-Austrian assault. But like I said, both armies have a lot of cavalry. You see the Russian player has a lot of cuirassiers. So both armies, or factions, whatever you want to call them, sides, excuse me, just brought a ton of cavalry. And you guys will see shortly as to what will happen. But right now, things are just calm. It looks like the armies are still getting in formation. And one interesting move here, it looks like the Ottomans are actually shifting over to the left side of the battlefield. Not too sure why he's doing this. Maybe Morton wants to have this hill, or this side of the battle to himself. But in doing so, he's going to be forced to fight a 2v1. So that is not good. You can see the Russians actually extending their flank back quite a bit right now. They're going to be flanking around. It looks like he's kept some Ottoman cavalry here, though, just in case they were needed. And it clearly looks like they will be, seeing that there's a massive Russian cav force pushing in. These guys are deadly. But the Ottomans can counter those guys. It just comes down to manpower and morale. So we will see what happens there. It looks like the Russians are now pushing up. They're getting very close to the enemy. Getting a wonderful volley in there. Actually depleting those guys to 130 men. These Austrians are definitely feeling the pain. Austria is going to be pushing up, seeing that they're taking heavy losses. The force cannot save these guys from extreme losses. So they're going to be pushing up, trying to get in range. Like I said, they don't have light infantry. So they're going to be forced to try and use their manpower to overwhelm their opponents. So we have an early Russian cav charge. with some Uhlans. Austrians are well prepared, and they actually do form square. So these Uhlans are going to be caught off guard. But one good thing is these Russians are going to have a fun time just slaughtering these guys as they're isolated from the rest of their army. You see they're just getting obliterated right now. It looks like the Austrians are getting some return volleys, but you know, with light infantry they're able to be more spread out, and a lot of those volleys are actually going to miss. As for on the left flank, you see they are still spreading out their units. Massive Russian cav force here, but the engagement has begun. First Russian unit has broken. Let's open up the mini-map. So there goes the Uhlan unit, and another Uhlan unit charging into a square formation. Not a smart move at all by the Russian player, taking a lot of losses in terms of cavalry. He's going to follow through with some grenadiers though. They're going to redeem these Uhlans for losing so many guys, so let's check out this volley here. Good shots on those German Fusiliers, just bringing them down about 15 men. As for on the far right flank for Morton, he's going to be charging in some Cuirassiers. Great charge here on the Musketeers, actually bringing them down to 120 men. Here comes some Austrians now trying to counter those French cav, but they're actually going to be killing their own opponents, or allies here. Getting a really nice cav charge in on their own guys, so not a good play there at all. You see Cuirassiers getting chevrons for all the kills they're getting. So great job there by Morton. So as the skirmish continues, you see the bodies are starting to pile up right now. The Austrian player really needs to get into melee combat, seeing that he has a lot more men than the Russians. And you see that by his reserves. He has over 8 units in reserves, counting the one in that building here. And now the Russians are going to be charging in, doing what Russians do, and getting into melee combat. Good charge into those Austrians. We also have some Ottoman lights now engaging as well. They're going to be helping out these Russians as they fire upon the Austrians. And here comes the Janissaries. So seems like they got inspired by the Russian charge, and they're going to commit their own troops now into the combat. We got the Voltigeurs engaging the Wimbush Jaegers. Very even matchup, actually, Jaegers and Wimbush Jaegers. So very nice move there. It looks like they're kind of shooting the hill here. They actually might even be shooting their own guys, so not a good jump by Russia. But look at this. Janissaries in melee combat on these Austrian or Hungarian Hussars. The Fusiliers. They're going to be taking a lot of losses. We have routing units here. He's taking so many losses. So many unnecessary losses by Austria right now. We got the German Grenadiers. Very nice uniform here with the nice green, or excuse me, red and black hat. So they're going to engage. It looks like this square. They're going to be taking a lot of kills as well. It looks like the Austrians are going to be reforming their lines, but they're taking heavy losses. Taking a look over here, we have a massive cavalry charge here. Great job by Morton, forming square at the appropriate time, and actually routing a couple of these Austrian Cuirassier units. Now, as for on the far right flank, it looks like Morton's outnumbered right now. It looks like 2 to 1. We got a Cuirassier on Cuirassier engagement. Meanwhile, his Ottoman ally is just sitting back. He's now going to start pushing in, and he really needs him over here to help hold this flank. But right now it is not looking good for Morton. He's in a 2v1 scenario. He's going to be getting charged into. So the Guard Seamen are up against a lot right now. Definitely outnumbered. We got the Russians now charging into the Young Guard. Young Guard counter-charging. It is definitely going to be a good fight. So Ottomans are going to fill in these holes and actually break a couple of these Russian units. Actually, that was a French unit that broke. But great job here by the Ottoman player, sneaking a cavalry unit behind enemy lines. It looks like he's going for a hammer and anvil strike. We'll see if he does that. It looks like he might be. It looks like he's microing his troops around. But you see the Young Guard and Fusiliers are starting to break right now. The Russian and Austrian forces are just too strong, and they are losing way too many men. So you see the flank is starting to collapse. And I'm just waiting for this charge to come. We actually have the Russian general charging into the Ottoman cav force. Not a smart move at all. But you see the Austrian center is just collapsing right now. Their willingness to not charge in has cost them dearly, and their losses are just piling up right now. You can see the Russians are still getting into melee combat now. Grenadiers still in melee combat with the German Fusiliers, but they are getting backed up by a lot of Ottoman units as well as Russian units. And more Janissaries are being tossed in now. And you can just see a trail of enemy units just routing from the battlefield. So not looking good for the enemy right now. And their only hope is pretty much on this left flank. So you can see the Young Guard are still holding strong here. And it looks like the Morton's cavalry units have broken. So it's down to the Ottomans now to try and finish off these Russian forces. And look at that. Let's take a look at where... So the Russian general did die, and that is going to affect their morale dramatically. But for some reason, he's going to be retreating his cavalry units from the battle. Very interesting move here. He's going to be pulling them back. Not too sure why he's doing that. But right now, you can see a lot of Russian units here on this flank still. And it looks like he's going to continue to keep the push going. And there goes the Ottoman units. Do not know why they are routing whatsoever. They definitely have the advantage in terms of skill. And they're even in terms of stamina, so really surprised he did that there. There goes the first Young Guard unit. It looks like the Guard Seaman also broke, so it's down to this one Young Guard unit, as well as some Fusiliers to help hold this line. So taking a look at the mini-map, things are going to get a little confusing, for there's going to be some Russians on Russian action. But great job here on the left flank, using this hill to pretty much maximum potential. And the Russian player really didn't need to back his lights up with any other units just because they're doing such a good job. And just take a look at these bodies. I'd say about 70% of these bodies are all Austrians, at least on this side. I mean, just take a look at this. I mean, that is just incredible, the amount of losses the Austrians sustained in that engagement. Not a smart move at all for that player. So it looks like the Russians are going to be causing a lot of havoc behind enemy lines right now. It looks like he's actually charging down Morton's general, so if he's able to kill his general, that can definitely be a game changer right now. But it looks like Morton notices that, so he's going to be shifting over some light infantry to help counter that. Holding the flank pretty well, and he's actually doing a really good job at stopping this Russian push. You see a couple units still in melee combat. Fusiliers up against a couple musketeers. And the Austrians did win their engagement on this section, or at least they pushed back the French here. So the Russians are going to be shifting over to face these Austrians. Austrians do have the range with their Jaegers, and they are upgraded. So over here, taking a look at these Austrians in the house right now, they're doing a fantastic job of keeping up that fire and actually sustaining a lot of kills and very, very few losses. So doing a great job here. Kind of reminds me of the Alamo as kind of a last stand, but it seems like that's not the case just because there's not that many units around, and you know, they're doing a great job and they're not getting charged. So good fire from this house, ton of volleys. Comes to show the effectiveness of house camping, you could say. So the Russians, looks like they're going to be reforming their lines. But the Morton's also going to be reforming his lines. It looks like we have some Voltigeurs, Grenadiers that broke through, but they did end up breaking. These French are going to have no mercy. Here comes some more Ottoman cavalry now, and they're going to be charging into the Russian forces. So now the counter push has commenced. You can see pushing up his forces, and the Russian lights just demolishing these Austrians. Russians are going to be forced to pull back as well, seeing that they're taking a lot of losses. And it looks like the Allied powers, for at least Morton, are just doing a really good job in terms of teamwork, you know, coordinating their attacks at the appropriate times, and just ultimately just doing a better job. A little daring here. It looks like Morton's going to be charging in his own general. But they were only lights or Wimbush Jaegers, so nothing too much to fear. Meanwhile, these Austrians in this building are just going at it right now. They are trigger happy, just shooting at anything they see. Looks like the Austrian general is going in for a charge right now. They're actually going to be trying to charge into the Russian general. Looks like they're going to be falling back to their men. They got some Janissaries here waiting for him. But we will see if the Russian general will die. This is the sim right now. We got the Janissaries charging in now. A lot of Janissaries actually. But over here, things are coming close to an end. The Russians are getting very, very depleted, losing a lot of guys. We have the Austrian general over here retreating, seeing that his men are breaking as well. And that is pretty much it for this flank. The Allied powers did sustain a lot of losses, but they still have a fairly big unit or army size. So it is down to these final 3 units for Austria. And it looks like they're going to have a last stand in this building. So we're going to fast forward until the action commences. You see still shooting out of these windows here. They're doing a really good job of keeping up the firepower, but I do not think they can withstand an entire or massive army like the French, Russians, and the Ottomans. But the enemy, or excuse me, the Janissaries are just going to be walking up, enjoying the nice view, the smell of dead bodies, and the nice sun in the distance. They are just going to have a fantastic time just marching towards the enemy. So it looks like the Austrians getting a little nervous here. They're actually going to be retreating from the building. Not too sure why they're doing this. Actually, it looks like he's trying to go over to the next building, but in doing so, he's taking a lot of losses as he's trying to cross this field. Don't know why he's doing this. It's costing him a lot of guys. You see, trying to get over there. No, he's actually going to be charging in with only 48 guys. I do not know what the Austrians are doing. I think they lost their minds at this point. And they are just taking way too many losses. This is just not an effective charge at all. You get the Ottomans now forming up with their lights. I doubt these guys are going to make it to their lines. Oh, it actually looks like they will, so good job there. But like I said, not worth it. We also have more line units now pushing outside of the building now. And it looks like the Janissaries are going to enjoy their brand new house. Uncontested, actually. And they're going to be living the dream in this nice house. Looks like a little bit too too crowded for their liking, but I guess I'll take it. So anyways, it is pretty much over. We got the Austrian general, Archduke Charles, and he's going to have a nice little final stand against this massive army. Not doing a bad job, but he's going to need a little bit more help than that to help win him the battle. So that is the game. Very, very good game. And like I said, not too sure why the defending forces on this hill actually pushed down. But taking a look at the stats, you see Russian player, almost 2,000 kills. Incredible job. I'm sure most of those kills were from his lights. As for Morton, he did a great job as well, coming in close second in terms of the most kills. Let's take a look at the unit statistics. Voltigeurs on top, not surprised by that, as well as the Young Guard and Guard Seamen. They were on the flanks and the front line. For the Ottomans, they did a decent job as well, staying positive with 1,100 kills. As for the enemy, the 1st Austrian Army, I think this was on the left flank over here, got 1,400 kills, and I believe the other Austrian player that had 800 kills was on this right flank, seeing that he actually, I'm not too sure. It looks like maybe, actually I think it was Adam Master that was on the right flank. He took a lot more losses. And then we have the Russians over here doing a decent job as well. So anyways, guys, thank you guys so much for watching. It is spring break for me, so I'm going to be off for some time. I think we'll post within the next week, hopefully. But if you are on spring break, hope you have a great spring break, and if you're not, I hope you guys have a great week. So anyways, guys, thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you guys later. I just wanna know what you